New questions this morning about Bob Saget's death after an autopsy revealed the actor and comedian died of blunt head trauma. The medical examiner says Saget likely fell when no one was looking and hit the back of his head, causing a brain bleed. The report also found the 65-year-old had fractures around his eye sockets, an enlarged heart with 95% blockage on one side, and 2 prescription medicines in his system, Klonopin, generally taken for seizures and anxiety, and the antidepressant trazodone. He also had tested positive for COVID-19.
A lot of this is personal information, including about what medications he was taking. But tell us how the family is reacting to this.
Look, they've released a statement saying that they have closure now, in a way. The fact that he tested positive for COVID-19, but his family has addressed that. He tested positive in December, but he had recovered. They say that he was healthy, he had no symptoms, and as we know, you can test positive after getting over COVID for several weeks, sometimes months after.
The autopsy showed that Saget had fractures around his eye sockets, in addition to what he sustained at the back of the head.
I believe that the autopsy report is correct, although I do believe there would have been more than one fall. The abrasion contusion on the back of the skull and the anatomic distribution of the injuries overlying the brain indicate that this was primarily a Contrecoup, which means the blow, the coup, was in the rear, and the contra, the manifestations of it largely played out essentially toward the frontal part of the brain. The subdural hematoma, as you have mentioned, is something that emerges slowly. In fact, it may not start until after a while, or it may start and then clot over, and then some movement of a spontaneous nature can lead to a resulting recurrence of the bleed. And I believe that more investigation should be done if they want to try to determine when this might have occurred. For example, when he checked in at the hotel, did the receptionist at the desk notice any abrasions, contusions, a partial bilateral black eye presentation? That would have been visible if it was noted. I am aware that the body was found in a normal supine position on the bed, no evidence of disarray, of dishevelment. So I'm wondering if the injury may have occurred before he got into the hotel, maybe something like the latch of his car door, taking luggage out from the trunk, striking his head. I've had that happen to me, or almost happened. So those are the kinds of things that can be checked out. I do agree. Maybe something like the latch of his car door, taking luggage out from the trunk, striking his head. I've had that happen to me, or almost happened. So those are the kinds of things.
You've had that happen? Okay, that's breaching.
I do not believe the COVID positivity played a role in this case at all.
I think what it reveals more than anything else is that this was not a sort of simple bump on the head. I think a couple of days ago, what we had heard was that Mr. Saget may have bumped his head sort of as he was getting into bed at his hotel room, and that subsequently caused, a bleeding on his brain. But when you read this autopsy report, that still may be the case, but it was a very significant blow to the head. I can show you, first of all, we put this graphic together just to give you an idea in yellow of all the various bones on his skull that were fractured. It takes a lot of force to do that, and let me show you on the skull model if I can as well. Basically, there was fractures on the back of his head over here, and also abrasion over here. So clearly there was some sort of, impact over here. That fracture extended into the right temporal bone over here. So that was a hard blow to just do that. But what was also noted on the autopsy report was that there were skull fractures in the front of his skull over here as well, just above his eyes. So in order to do that, when I first saw this, if I knew nothing else about what had happened, you would think that maybe this was someone who had fallen down the stairs and had several impacts to the head or been unrestrained in a car accident. It was that degree of force. In neurosurgery, you're often looking at the energy that's actually transferred to the skull and the brain, as well as the mechanism. And, you know, whatever happened here, we may never know the exact, like how he fell or what happened, but it was a significant blow that caused that.